I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Hello again, this is Doug Cooper with Arm the Populace, and we're getting ready to kick off the 2019 year. Last year was very exciting. We had a lot of growth. We added on more instructors, range safety officers, venues. This year, not only adding on all of that, we're adding on classes. We will be doing a defensive shooting class, an advanced shooting like tactical class, tactical rifle classes, AR-15s. You want to learn how to shoot those? Come out and see us. We're also starting our youth gun safety program. Very excited about that. It's been a long time in development. If you've been through our class, you've heard us talking about it for about the past year and a half. But unlike other companies that just rush into things, we wanted to take time and make sure we did it right. So to help facilitate that, we added on yet another instructor. He'll be joining us here in the show. His name's Bill. He comes to us from a very unique military background. Unlike a lot of the boots on the ground over there in the sandbox, he actually worked for some of the intelligence agencies. So his training was a lot more diverse than the standard soldier. And after leaving the military, wanted to take that training and figure out how he can still help other people stay safe. With me as always is Charlie, you know him, my brother from another mother. If you've been to class again, you know your cool instructor, Charlie G. And we're just excited to be back. The show you're going to be watching today, you're actually going to see excerpts from one of our youth gun safety classes. And so rather than just beating around the bush, let's just jump into it. Let me say hi to my co-hosts here today. I've got Charlie and Bill in the theater with me. How you guys doing?
Great. Hey.
So Bill, welcome. Welcome to Arm the Populace, the company, the show, and the whole 9 yards. When did you start shooting?
So I was about between 12 and 13 years old. I was with Boy Scouts. We did in Boy Scouts, and then a youth organization, Masonic youth organization called DMLA. Used to shoot downtown in the temple next to the Taft Theater. Had a range for 22s in the basement.
My, how things have changed.
Yeah.
Now, was that your introduction to shooting, or did you grow up sort of in a gun family?
I grew up on a farm. I mean, there were guns around. We didn't really. The kids didn't mess with them because we just didn't. We were told not to, and we didn't mess with them. So that was it.
Okay. Charlie, welcome back. How you doing?
Hanging it as usual, baby.
And then, so just for people maybe that aren't familiar, at what age did you start getting involved with shooting?
I started back at the age of 13.
Okay.
I saw a lot of my grandfather's old war guns. My grandfather kept a gun, and it's in the house all the time. But, you know, I saw it. That was one of my big things. I saw it.
Okay.
Didn't play with it, but I saw it.
Okay.
But when it came down to it, a lot of us, I know we all grew up a little different, especially my age and a little bit older between my brothers and all of us. That's why we are bringing now the youth gun safety classes for the kids.
And at this point, those of you watching at home, you may be asking, well, what is a youth gun safety class? So before we get into that, just my own personal experience, I was shooting at 4 years old. Between my dad and my granddad, I was just raised around them. I started with pellet guns and very quickly went to 22s. A lot of my youth was spent running around when we would go to the country on the weekends with either a 22 or a 20 gauge shotgun. By 7, I had my own shotgun. It's just the way I grew up. But then again, being a child of the 80s, we received deadly weapons as Christmas gifts. We got real archery sets. We got Chinese stars. We got nunchucks. We got throwing knives. Anything you can find at a flea market wound up in our stockings. A lot of kids don't grow up that way these days. Maybe because of the urbanization. I don't know. You know, people don't really grow up on farms anymore. But regardless, there's not the exposure to firearms. But that doesn't mean they've left our culture. In fact, our culture is permeated with guns. From primetime TV to movies to video games, what do you see? And if not educated the right way, that is where children are going to draw their knowledge base from. Did I play Grand Theft Auto? Of course I play Grand Theft Auto. But I also know that what happens in that game is not real life because I've shot real guns, and I shot real guns at a very young age. This is sort of geared towards those children and those youths, teenagers, whatever, maybe that don't have that real world experience yet. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's a way to introduce them not just to the shooting, it's to the guns and what do guns do, what are they capable of. We hit on that for reality versus fantasy and what really happens, and we've gotten a lot of great responses from the kids on their understanding.
To kind of be able to explain the whole reality fantasy. Me running around like on a video game, you end up getting shot. You know, you can keep doing stuff, shooting, jumping, running, a whole bunch of different things. You're shot in the real world, and that might be the end of your day. You know, so be able to understand those two differences. Be able to understand that what I can do on a video game, I can't do in real life. There aren't really aid packets, stuff like that in the real world.
And so you've done a few of these classes now. What has the response been, both from the children that have attended, and you've had the gamut. I mean, it's for what, 5 years old and up?
Yep.
Yes.
Up through teenagers, and then the parents. What has been kind of some of the feedback you've gotten from them?
Well, it's interesting that the kids love it, and I think you're going to show some clips later that show the kids shooting and the smiles on their faces, and not only that, but it requires them to really get involved and and interact with it, so they really get something out of it. But it's also watching the parents' reactions at the end of the class. The parents come up and they say, "Thank you so much," and I didn't know how to approach this subject, or I know my kids don't listen to me, so to have them listen to you was something different. And Charlie is really good at expressing with the kids, especially about safety, and they seem to really react well. The kids follow it really well.
I mean, safety is a big thing. It's always got to be safety, safety, safety. We have to go over that a lot because, especially dealing with kids, even with us adults, we can slip up and do something dangerous.
Yeah.
And we want to give that type of training, at least that same type of chance that the adults got for our CCW class, even for the kids, to kind of get that knowledge, that understanding that guns are just powerful tools. Just like my hammer, just like a drill. I mean, we all go out here and do something bad with a hammer. They're really going to ban hammers? No, they're not. Just guns get that bad rep.
And so if I understand kind of what you're saying, because this is kind of your guys' project that you've put together, it's education over prohibition. And by educating children about guns, that's a way to cut down on the accidents.
Well, for those of our viewers that have been through the CCW class and the Arm the Populace CCW class, you've heard Charlie do the "don't touch that gun," right? And that may not work, and a lot of kids don't listen anymore. They're not going to listen to their parents and those others. But to actually put it in their hands, educate them, let them understand how powerful it is, let them understand what guns can do, but why they exist also, that they're there as tools. We feel like the kids really leave the class with some really good ideas about what guns are for,
Yeah, they do.
how they can be used safely, and a different respect. I think it's a respect for guns after that.
Right. So but do they get exposed to real guns in the class?
Oh, definitely, just like we do in
Yeah.
the CCW classes.
They do.
We bring the big revolvers out, the Walking Dead revolvers. We show them how to safely how to open
Big
the gun,
350 Saturns.
and we bring out Berettas and Glocks, and we let them touch and go through the same exercises we do with the adults in class, because that
Sure
gives
do.
them the same appreciation, respect for how difficult it is to move the slide, etc.
And those are the guns they see on Call of Duty and Black Ops and all
Red
of those
Dead
video
Redemption.
games.
Yeah.
And so they know, like, okay, if I start with this gun and I do good in this level, I upgrade to this gun and it shoots more, holds more. But there's no real conceptualization of what that means in the real world. They just know that if I get that gun, I can go beat the boss level and I go on to the next one. So
We even let them touch a real AR-15, which is really the M4, M16 military weapon, to see that it's heavy. It's not,
Right.
in the game, their characters run
Run
around
around with it
These-
all day
These are
long.
heavy guns. These aren't something you just put in your pocket and run around.
okay, so as a parent, I have my child come through the youth safety class. They pass or graduate from it. What happens next? What is the next step? Because I know, for me, it was shooting pop cans off the garbage cans with a BB gun by the azalea bushes with my dad and granddad to learn accuracy, things like that. And then the first chance that my granddad got, he had a 22 in my hand with my grandmother holding my ears, plinking at tin cans. So, you know, I live in the city. I bring my 10-year-old boy to the class, or 10-year-old girl. They love it. They do well. They understand how to make a gun safe. They shoot the airsoft guns. But now they've got the bug, because that's what kids want to do. That's why they play Black Ops and all of these games, because they want to actually shoot. It's just most of them aren't afforded that opportunity. So what comes after the youth safety class?
Well, after the youth safety class, what we offer is 22 long rifles. They'll actually be able to come out to the range and actually get to have some live fire opportunities. They'll be able to shoot long rifle. Then we'll actually work with them with 22 handguns. We also offer from assault rifle, because some of the older teens, oh my God, I want to shoot an AR-15 or AK-47, because that's what they see in the video games.
Sure.
And we also have shotgun training as well for some of them.
So you kind of work their way up to it.
Yes.
Okay.
We start off with the small caliber because it's, especially with the rifles, we can control the muzzles so that accidents don't happen. It's as they learn safety, but once they've been out on the range a couple times, they already know the range commands that they've heard them in class. They'll be safe enough, and they'll know the safety rules and be embedded enough that they'll be able to move on.
Okay. Are they excited about it?
All the time.
It's funny. It's the
time.
girls. Believe it or not, it's the girls that want to. Can I go shooting? Can I go shooting? So, and it's great to see that. To see the girls really want to go shooting. And also the other thing is, starting this summer, our plan is to do youth shooting league. Why not on Saturday mornings? I mean, what better way for a kid to say, I'm not going to go out and party tonight or do whatever I do with my friends, because I've got to be at the range at 8 o'clock in the morning for a competition. And we do our youth shooting league. We will actually qualify them and sign off on their NRA qualifications, if using NRA standard targets in the range, and they can get badges to say marksman, NRA sharpshooter.
That's something to brag about.
Yeah, why not put that on your book bag?
About.
That's
There's scholarships out there.
Scholarships.
Kids doing shooting. And I know a lot of us that have never even heard about it. They're like, what? You know, you can get a scholarship? And we talk to the parents about this a lot. There are scholarships that are given away every year. And a small percentage of kids actually get them, because there are some who just don't know about it. But you can actually get a scholarship, a free ride to college, just for shooting.
shooting scholarship for the colleges that have shooting teams.
Right.
And beyond that, there's manufacturers of guns like Smith & Wesson and Glock and Beretta, and they'll look to sponsor somebody. They would provide money for college. They have scholarships available. On top of that, they give the kids free ammo and shirts and stuff to
they
wear.
They want to deck them out and all that little cool stuff. Like have your daughter rocking Glock stuff, you know. Hey, you know, pretty girl, pretty gun.
Yeah. Some kids may, you know, there's only one state champion in each state, right? Team, if you're in team sports. There's only one state champion. And so this is an opportunity to spread out beyond the high school sports. You could be the state champion in shooting sports.
That's something to brag about.
And I love to see Arm the Populace once again out ahead of the pack, because nobody's doing anything like this outside of a few sheriff departments and churches, but there's no structure to it. When these kids come to the class, like they get a class packet, there's little worksheets for them to do. I mean, it is a program, so to speak, that they go through. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a full booklet with everything that we've gone through, and instead of just talking to kids, it's interactive. They fill out the parts of the gun as we go over revolver and we go over cylinder and hammer. They fill that out themselves. There's a little bit of, you know, if you write it down, you tend to remember it.
Some of them skip ahead and do the crossword, word search, stuff like that. They're like, that's what that's called. Okay, let me write it down. But it's cool to actually see the kids interacting. Like, we have guys and girls, you know, boys and girls in the class that while we're asking questions, they're excited to answer the questions. Like, oh, I know what that is. And
that's great.
It just it brings a joy to me to see a lot of these parents that come back, and some of them are past CCW students, and they come back because a lot of them either heard about my son, Junior, that was shooting since he was 5. They're like, hey, you know, where can I go to get this education? We offer that. And me, my brother Bill, we kind of got the idea together, like, you know what? Let's start doing something for the kids. You know, let's give them that education. let's help debunk this whole guns are really bad. No,
Yeah.
people do bad things with guns. Guns aren't the bad thing, you know. The understanding the safety and all that. And it's a really good experience for the kids.
Well, and I remember I was talking to, I think it was Charlie out at the range after one of these classes. You had three generations of women, funny enough, at one of these classes, didn't you?
I ended up adopting the stepkids out the range. I didn't even know I had an extra 2 or 3 kids running around. But yeah, the grandmother already went through the class, daughter went through the class, and the daughter brought her son and daughter to the kid class. And we were all out there at the range. I was working with all 3 of the generations, up there at the line, all the way down to the youngest little boy. And the daughter, which was 17, she enjoyed it. We told her about the whole shooting league and everything like that, and she was excited to do it. Yeah. She wants to come out and do some more practicing. Now, mind you, she does work during the weekends, but she figured now, hey, I have something else I can go for now. I mean, it's a new hobby. Even the little boy, he was excited about doing it, you know?
And it was interesting, this past weekend we had a parent who had brought her gun. So she's a CCW holder. She just purchased a new gun. The kids had not seen it yet, really. And so during the class, she actually had Charlie come over and show her how to use her gun, show her what's special about her gun with the kids there. So now, all the things the kids learn in class, she wanted to take that home and reinforce it at home and have them make it safe at home, which is kind of really cool to see the parents want to continue that education at home that we started.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about, though, because when I was watching it, doing some of the editing, it isn't just gun safety, shooting fundamentals, myth versus reality. You guys hit on a couple other things about safety with the kids, don't you?
Well, yeah, and Charlie talks about this in the CCW classes with the adults, but their kids have been kidnapped. There are kidnappings that are occurring
A lot.
on a daily basis.
A lot.
And not just everywhere. It's in our neighborhood. In Coleraine, just last week, there was an incident where they tried to grab a teenager off the street. So, we want them to understand also it's more than just the guns. It's situational awareness. And we talk about
That's a
that.
big thing.
We talk about knowing what's around. If you're a teenager, get your face out of your phone, kind of observe what's around you.
And we talk about that especially because there are younger kids that have cell phones and stuff now. That's just a whole new generation thing. 9, 10-year-olds are now walking around with cell phones. But that whole situation awareness kind of keeps you aware, and not only at schools or in your neighborhoods, but we even break on the topic of if you're in Walmart and your mom walks around the other aisle and you're still stuck in the toy aisle looking at, ooh, I want this toy, I want that toy. Should I ask you to get this or that? And somebody's watching and you're not even paying attention. And you haven't noticed that your mom disappeared or your dad's not there. What do? You got to be aware of those things because those are the slip-ups that happen and these kids end up disappearing. And it's a shame. So we try to at least bring that to their attention of just be aware. Know what's going on around you.
For now, I'm going to turn it back over, let Bill and Charlie say goodbye to you, and then we're going to go hop into a kids class. Guys, thanks for joining us in the studio today.
Hey,
Thank you. Thanks
glad
for
to be here, man. Glad to do it again.
We look forward to seeing our students at some of these classes.
All the time.
Everybody comfortable? Got something to do? Okay, let's get started. Parents, thanks for coming today. We think it's important that kids learn about guns and gun safety. We've had way too many stories in the news even recently. We'll go over it here so you guys know the guns just don't go off. Somebody has to pull the trigger. And in most accidents that happen because somebody didn't know to know if the gun was loaded and they shot their friend or their sister or their brother or their dad or their mom because they didn't know how to handle guns. And they didn't know how to check if they're loaded. And so we're going to go over today all the things that you guys need to know to understand what guns are, how serious they are, but also that they're tools, not toys, that we use them every day. People use them every day as tools, right? But that they're not toys to be played with. And we're going to go over that. You will be shooting today airsoft guns. You're not going to shoot real guns. And here's why. Because we're going to go over safety rules today, and we need to know that we all understand the definition of safe. So you guys are going to get to shoot real Beretta airsoft guns. They feel almost like real Berettas, They just shoot little plastic BBs at targets. If you do well, if you follow those commands today, then you'll be able to come out and shoot with us in our other classes for youth, our other kids classes that are using real guns, like 22 rifles and 22 pistols. And even our last class, if you do well in everything, is you get to shoot military style rifles and pistols. So, but first we need to understand what safe means.
There's a second reason that we'll be using the airsoft guns, because again, with this, it's not just you guys getting to shoot. It's us going over basic range commands while you're wearing the equipment, so you're used to with the earphones on. Even though we don't have loud bangs from the airsoft, the whole idea is you getting used to listening to a range safety officer giving commands on the firing line.
Okay guys, so let's learn the 3 rules. Number 1, all guns are always loaded. What that means is whenever you look at a gun, you have to assume that it's loaded. Don't assume that it's empty and you can pull the trigger and throw it at people and hit people with it. It's loaded. All guns are loaded until you check them. So if you'll watch us, this is our class gun today, guys. It's just rubber. See? Got that red tip. If you watch us, you'll see whenever we pick up weapons, we try and open them up. Even on this rubber gun that doesn't open up, we'll try and open it up because we want to check and make sure it's not loaded. We'll take the magazine out, we'll make sure the magazine's not loaded. We'll open up the gun and we'll look down to make sure there's no bullets in here, right?
Did you notice that when Bill, Charlie, and I were messing with the real guns, what did we do each time? No matter how many times, we opened it up and allowed the others to see that we're not handing or playing around with a live weapon. But and even though I checked it, Bill will check right behind me. Charlie will check right behind me. My 13-year-old son will check behind me, even though he watched me do it. That's how important it is that they are loaded.
So all guns are always loaded. Most accidents happen with guns because somebody didn't think that there were bullets in it and they pulled that trigger. So you have to assume all guns are always loaded. We will show you a little later how to empty them, make them safe if need be. And we'll also show you that you should probably get an adult first. But all guns are always loaded. So what is it? All guns are always loaded. Okay. Number 2, always keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire. What does that mean, guys? Well, on a gun, see this trigger guard here? There's a trigger inside here on a regular gun, right? It's the button, the switch. You depress it, the gun shoots. You keep your finger off of that until you are pointed at your target and ready to fire. As long as you keep your finger off of here, bad stuff won't happen, right? So I could take a real gun, I could load it up, I could chamber around, I could take the safety off of my gun, and I could throw it around in the parking lot. Throw it up in the air, let it come down. It will not go off. It will only go off if somebody puts their finger on that trigger and pulls the trigger. So how do we avoid accidents? We always keep our finger off the trigger until we are ready to fire. We always keep our finger off the trigger. Say it with me. We always keep our finger off the trigger. It's a really important one, guys. So there are stories, news stories recently of people getting hurt, kids getting hurt. Why? Because a brother or sister or somebody picked up a gun, pulled that trigger. Didn't think it was loaded, pulled the trigger, probably shouldn't have, right? So we keep our finger off the trigger until we're on target and ready to fire.
This is my class gun, by the way. It's a little different from there. It only shoots lasers. It does not accept anything, just so they introduced theirs, I wanted to introduce mine.
So guys, everybody play, when they were kids, play like this, when you're little, cops and robbers, right? Like this is your gun, right? So when you touch a gun, when you hold a gun, when we hand you the guns later, even the airsoft guns, you're going to hold it just like that. You're going to point your finger just like that down the side of the gun. See that?
Red like along the frame, like you see what I'm doing here.
Everybody get that? So we hand you the guns. We want you to make sure that you hold it like that. Do not put your finger on the trigger until we tell you to fire today. The only time you will put your finger on the trigger is when you hear the term open fire. Okay? Next, always keep your gun pointed in a safe direction. What What does that mean? Think. What does it mean to you? Always keep your gun pointed in a safe direction. So if I have this gun, right, and I'm pointed over there towards the rainbow curtain, is it gonna hurt somebody in this room if it goes off? Yeah? No? Raise your hand if you think yes. Raise your hand if you think no. Okay?
Is there anybody over here in this area right there? I'm pointing at her, right?
If I point it at the ground and it goes off, is it gonna hurt anybody? If I'm outside, where's it gonna go? In the dirt, right? Just make a hole in the dirt. Now what about if I point it up and the gun goes off, what happens? Could somebody get hurt? They could, because what goes up must come down, right?
To give you an idea, little bitty 22, if nothing is in the way, will travel a mile. So it goes a mile straight up. Okay, it's not going up, what's it gotta do? I don't know what's underneath it when it comes down, because it's not gonna come straight up, straight down, right? It's gonna go up, loop, and come down.
So when I was a kid, when I was about 12 years old, our high school football coach, I grew up way out in Boonies, Taylor High School. Anybody know where that is? I grew up way out there. So when our high school football coach got shot during practice in the heart, and everybody thought it was because he was mean, because he was kind of mean. And everybody thought it was because he was mean to somebody, right? And it turns out it wasn't. It was a guy who was hunting squirrels over a mile away, shot and missed, and that bullet traveled and just happened to hit that man in the chest. Complete accident. But that's why we always keep our gun pointed in safe direction. We know what's behind where we're shooting. That's very important. These hurt people. If you go out there and shoot cans on a fence, you have to know what's behind the fence, right? So if I don't point this gun at anybody and it goes off, it's not going to hurt somebody. So that's kind of all three things, right? If the gun isn't loaded, if I keep my finger off the trigger and I don't point at anybody, accidents won't happen. Now do you guys see why it's important that you understand these three rules? Because if you follow all three of these rules, and there's a live gun, Santana, there's a live gun sitting on the table. As long as you understand that it's loaded, and you don't touch that trigger, and you keep it pointed in a safe direction, do you think it's okay for you to pick it up and take it to an adult? As long as you follow the rules, right? Okay. All three rules. All guns are always keep your finger off the always keep the gun pointed in a
safe direction.
Good.
First time. Look at that. That was awesome. Good job, guys. You're listening. Ty, you go outside and you're playing, and over by the fence is a gun. What do you do? What do you think you should do? What's it say at the bottom there?
Always keep it in a safe direction.
Right below that.
Big gold letters.
Isn't it allowed before I touch the gun?
You think that's pretty good advice? Yeah? So, before you guys touch this, the first thing you should do is always get an adult. Do not touch the gun. Always get an adult. Let them touch the gun. Let them handle the gun. But you know the safety rules, right? All guns are always
Loaded.
keep your finger off the
Trigger.
and always keep it pointed in a.
Safe direction.
So you guys know the safety rules so you can observe. But if at all possible, get an adult. Let an adult handle that gun. If there are no adults around and you don't want to see somebody smaller than you get hurt, right? What do? You pick up the gun, you keep it pointed in a,
Safe
you keep
direction.
your finger off the,
Trigger.
and you take it to somebody, an adult, right? It's not a toy. You're not going to play with it. You're not going to take pictures with it.
No selfies.
No selfies. You're going to take that gun and you're going to make sure it goes somewhere where it's safe, where it can't hurt somebody. Right? So, if you find a gun, Ty, out in your yard, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to stop. Don't touch it. Run away and tell a grown-up. Make sense? Stop, don't touch it, run away, and get a grown-up. Okay. Who here plays Fortnite? of Duty. Modern Warfare, right? Who plays Left 4 Dead? I like zombies. How about Grand Theft Auto? Yeah. That's my favorite. That's what I was playing last night. I was Trevor. I was stealing helicopters off the top of the police station. Yeah. I was on it last night. So, is that real life, guys? Okay.
It's got real life traits.
What's that?
It has real life traits.
It does have real life traits, right? But
That's what makes it interesting.
if you get shot in real life, your controller doesn't just shake. What happens? Huh?
You get hurt.
You get hurt. Seriously hurt. Now, I don't want to be gross, but have any of you ever seen somebody with a gunshot wound? Can I show you a gunshot wound? What one looks like? After 24 years? That is what a gunshot wound looks like 24 years later. It never goes away. And it hurt. It hurt real bad. I couldn't walk for weeks. And it's still there. And it still hurts. And I still have pieces of the bullet that come out sometimes. Scab over and I pick out little pieces of bullet out of my leg. You think that's fun? Sorry, I know. You think that's fun? That's not fun. So, they can hurt somebody in real life. If I'm playing Call of Duty and my life bar, you know how the red comes out around the screen? I can still run and shoot though, can't I? Maybe not as fast. But you think if I get shot 10 times in real life, I'm probably going to be running and shooting still?
Heck, you can sit there and hide behind a wooden pallet, and all of a sudden you've got life back. Or drink a soda or something.
Are there little green life packs, like in GTA, are there little green packs at the hospital just outside that I can go touch and boom, I'm 100% healthy again? No. Can I go out and run around in body armor all day long everywhere I go? Probably not, right?
Real world doesn't have cheat codes. You can't put in a certain cheat code and stuff, all of a sudden my health doesn't go down at all. I can run around and take 1,000 bullets to the chest and I'm fine. I can just keep shooting. In the real world, even one, you're gonna end up screaming and calling your mama regardless or not. It's gonna hurt. In video games, it's a really big difference between that fantasy and reality. Fantasy world, I can run around on GTA all day. Run, steal cars, you know, I can jump off buildings and then my health goes down and my person drops down to the ground, but I can get back up, take off running again. If I fall off a slide, I'm gonna be hurt. That's the real world.
Just look
Then
at
when I'm at work and I'm washing off trucks or something like that, and I fall off one of those steps, oh, it's gonna hurt. I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna tear up a little bit. I'm gonna stand up, you know, I'm gonna be all right. I'm probably gonna be limping for a while. I'm not gonna be able to run and take off, just like a video game. There was no health aids or no health packets sitting around I couldn't pick up and eat and take. I was hurt. I mean, you wake up in the morning, let's say you wake up in the morning, you stub your toe before you get ready for school. It's gonna hurt, right? You think it's gonna disappear in 5 minutes? No. You ever got a paper cut? Hurts, doesn't it? Even though this is a really thin little cut,
How does that happen? Like it hurts so much.
it hurts.
the small ones hurt the worst.
Yeah, they do, right? Yeah.
How many people in here had those crazy paper cuts before? Everybody's had a paper cut. All
It
right,
hurt forever.
let's see. In video games, you get a paper cut, which you never get a paper cut in a video game. That's how you decipher between reality and fantasy. Because in the real world, you get a paper cut, it hurts all day long, right? I had to put a Band-Aid on it. I can't even really wash my hands well because I get that water in there. Don't use hot water. Ooh, it's gonna burn for a while.
It's just like the pictures in your booklet right there, where it's showing Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. It looks cool, you know, it's smoky, it looks bad as hell. Excuse me, sorry. But then below, what do you have? That's a picture of real military folks carrying a wounded soldier.
They
That's
probably
the
got
sobering
shot
idea
once or
right there.
twice.
Because that's the reality of what happens with a gun, right? People get hurt, they don't stand up. Sometimes they don't live. More often than not, they don't live.
Can't hit reset.
You cannot hit reset. I can't pay $5,000 and emerge from the hospital all of a sudden on Pill Hill, right? At GTA. I don't just pay $5,000 and all of a sudden I'm alive again.
Or
Not
that
bad.
health pack where it's an injection. You hit yourself with an EpiPen, now you're jumping up and running around.
Now those hospital bills may be as real as they get though, but
I don't know, $5,000, nothing. Spend $5,000 getting aspirin tomorrow at Christ Hospital, that's it.
I think that hurts worse than the actual wound.
It does. So you guys get, I mean, we can sit here and preach at you and talk at you all day long. Do you understand that that guns are serious and that they can hurt people? You guys get that, Ty? You understand that? It's important, right? Dale, you got it? Santana, come on.
And it's just like GTA, like you were saying before. Every kind of weaponry, not just guns. A crowbar is a tool, but it can do serious damage if used wrong, right? Real world has consequences. Hit your friend with a crowbar, you're probably, well, one, not gonna have a friend anymore as far as he ain't gonna wanna be around you.
Right.
Second, you may not have a friend anymore because he's now in heaven.
Life is not a video game. Life is not a movie. In the real world, all actions have consequences. Get this guy in. So cowboys carry revolvers, right? So do police.
This is your standard revolver. Everybody can be able to tell that it's a revolver because this little spinning doohickey right here. This is what we call the cylinder. So while I point out the parts and I explain what it is, what you all do is write down each part. That way at the end of the day, you know what each one of them are. So the round circular part is what we call the cylinder.
Point an arrow to it and write it down, guys.
The cylinder.
The cylinder. 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 The round part's the cylinder.
The cylinder is the compartment where the gun actually holds what we call the bullets, the cartridges. When I flip it around to you all, you can see these smaller little holes on the inside of the cylinder. Everybody see those holes? Everybody see those little holes in there? You don't see the holes? Those little holes are what we call the chambers. Each side, each one of these holes holds a bullet inside of it. Every time this gun is fired, that cylinder rotates and lines up with the barrel. A long part of the gun is called the barrel. Alright? Every time the cylinder rotates, it lines up one of these little holes. When it's lined up, the function that works, that makes the gun actually go off, this little doohickey back here. Anybody know what this little part is right here? I'm gonna take a guess. You tell me what this piece is?
Starts with an H.
What it is? Good job. That's what we call
What's
the
a hammer?
hammer.
Who said hammer?
Almost looks like a hammer.
Good job.
Every time this gun is fired, when we go to squeeze this trigger, this hammer comes back and slams forward again. See that? Every time this gun is fired, it goes back and forth again. The actual bullets. What I place in front of everybody are casings and then non-fire cartridges. Bullets, the actual term for them are cartridges. But even us gun guys and gals, we don't really call them cartridges anymore. Now, if I'm at the range and doing some shooting and I'm running out of ammo, I'm like, hey Bill, you know you got some extra bullets for the 9?
I might.
I'm like, okay, cool.
Or more often, like, hey, you got some rounds for the 9, you got some rounds for the 45.
Right. No one goes around and actually calls them cartridges. What the bullet itself actually is the little small metal piece right there at the end. I put a non-fired round on everybody's table. And everybody see that little metal piece right there at the end? It's either brass, in the back's kind of goldish colored, right there at the tip. That is the actual bullet. As you all can take a look on your picture, your diagram, this piece that has a hole in it. That little piece is just a bullet. What a cartridge is actually made out of is the casing, which is in front of you all, the empty one. As you look on the bottom of it, you'll see the hole that has a smaller little hole on it that has a little tip. Everybody see that one? The little small little hole? It has that little circle in the middle. Everybody see that? The cartridge made out of it has that little primer. That's what we call it. It's called the primer. When the primer is struck or hit, it burns inside the little black powder. The powder sits inside the casing. Now it stays just powder until that primer is hit. When that primer is hit, It acts like a match. Everybody's seen what a match does when you strike, right? What happens to it?
Lights on fire.
Burn it, sets on fire, right? The black powder inside the cartridge, or inside the casing, it burns rapidly, so really fast, causing a lot of smoke inside the casing. Once all that smoke is built up inside of it, it pushes the actual little metal piece of the bullet itself out of the casing and down the barrel. That's how the bullets actually work. Now, for a better explanation, for even some of you kids to be able to understand how cartridges really work. Everybody in here has spitball before, right? Well, shot a spitball, right? Yeah, I had no kid in here tell me they never shot a spitball in here before. You shot a spitball in here before, right? Well, give me that look. You shot a spitball at least once in your life, right? Be honest. You have. I've done it. I've done it plenty of times. So you done it, right? Everybody here shot a spitball before, right? My man, you shot a spitball. Right. All right. When you shot that spitball, you had that strong in your hand, and you was lining up your shot, trying to hit your buddy across the room. Did you have to take a big marathon breath? No, just quick, and there it went, across the room, right? The same way the bullet works. If I take just that little paper ball, before I even put it in the straw, I take it and I put it in the palm of my hand. I use that same amount of air that I did for that straw. What happens to the paper ball? It's really going anywhere, doesn't it? It might roll around in your hand. It's not gonna shoot across the room and hit your buddy, right? Now I'm gonna get mad. I'm gonna have to throw it down because I'm upset. But without that straw itself to control your air, your breathing, just that quick, it disappears 360 degrees. It doesn't give that paper ball any power, any motion, any force that you can go for.
Page we're messing with is called basic situational awareness. Part of this is not just firearm safety, as we want you guys to be safe everywhere, as much as you can. Who's got you better than you? Nobody. Nobody can keep you safer than you. Granted, Mom is pretty good at it, but Mom's not with you all the time. Sometimes she just needs you to get the hell out of her way. Especially more than one. Just go play in traffic or something. My mom would tell me all the time. So we're going to go through the basic steps of situational awareness. First one is stop. You don't want to just go blundering in. You want to stop if you're going into someplace you're not sure about. If you're lost, what are you going to do? Keep walking around? You stop first, so that you're not going any further into trouble, you're not getting yourself in more danger, you're not getting yourself somewhere you can't get out of. So you stop first. The next step is look. What is better than using, as they say in the military, your Mark I eyeball? You pay attention, you're looking around, you're seeing what is around you. That means first thing you got to do is stop and do this. Get your head out of your phone while you're walking around. How many of you walk around and you're doing this most of the time, barely looking? Run into people? I know sometimes I get more upset in here. My daughter, I don't know how she doesn't hit more things walking around. God knows she drives. That scares me too. But anyway. So we want to look. You can't know where the trouble is if you're not looking around and seeing the danger. So we stop and we look around to see what's going on around us. Next thing is listen. Besides your eyes, the next best thing is your hearing. Sometimes you may hear danger or hear a problem before you see it. You hear that car with the big loud pipes that the cops complain and pull them over about all the time. And you hear it coming around the corner real quick. You're thinking about taking a step off that sidewalk. I'm going to stop a minute and see where that car's coming, aren't you? Yeah. I'm on a cul-de-sac, and I tell you what, I look both ways because I don't trust them up the street where they fit in any more than the four-way at the bottom. So I'm listening to see what's going on. Your eyes and ears will tell you all kinds of things of what's going on. And then the last part is think. Put these things together. Does it look right? You know that dark alley is quicker to get home. But is it the best idea, because you hear those animals back there, and you know somebody's usually back there doing something they shouldn't. So maybe that alley is not the best way to get home, especially when it's dark. So, right, so all these steps together, all these things go together to help you keep yourself safe. Because you want to know that the best way to keep safe is don't put yourself in a situation. Y'all got that one friend that you know when you're hanging out with them, something's going to happen, right? If you don't know that friend, you are that friend. If stuff keeps happening, somebody told me that and I had to look around a few times like, crap, I'm that friend in this group. But all these things together keep you out of trouble. Stop. Look around. Be aware what's going on. Listen. And then think about, is this a good idea? Or is there a better way to do this? Or a better way to go? Okay? Everybody got questions? So what's the first thing you're going to do when you're going someplace you're not sure of?
Stop.
And why are we going to stop? So we can? Why are we looking? We want to see what the danger is. And then if, just in case, we're also listening while we're looking. And the paintball really teaches you that. All right.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.